Chapter 3 The fairy world can reason. That's a question no one can answer, Li Yechen said. What is the reason why the demon robbed the tax silver? Chen Fuyin, Luo a meditation. Demon do not ask hard. Do whatever they want. Investigate the reason. But is looking for trouble. The girl in yellow has a different opinion. Human flesh does not taste better. Well, you wait a moment. I finish the bun first. She puffed and puffed to finish the 2 meat bags. Her face turned into a xiaolong bao, tried to swallow them, took a sip of tea, and then continued the conversation. She could talk freely about human flesh. Demons do not care. Silver in their eyes may not have a living person attractive. Even if you want silver, it is safer to steal or rob than to simply take tax. Silver is too risky to take tax money on the street in Daebong. Chen Fuyin nodded. That makes sense. Do not rule out the instigation. Li Yechen narrowed his eyes. So who would instill the demon to steal tax silver? What's the reason? Why does it have to be this amount? It has to be 150,000 taels. Let's think of it this way. Whoever's behind this is going to need a lot of money. Without making too much noise, to be precise. No unscrupulous enrichment. Mrs. Chen felt a stir in her heart. So you went after the tax bank. The girl in the yellow dress pressed her brightly colored lips. The tax escort path is random. By the Royal Sword Guard, 100 households, Supingzi temporary decision. And the demon can advance in the river ambush. It is highly likely that there was an inside man in the convoy. Li Yechen said, looking at her husband. Go to the Yunlu Academy and ask for a Confucian scholar. The girl in yellow dress gave him a sideways glance. Do you despise the key observation technique of our heavenly warden? I have told you that all the soldiers present to escort the tax and silver are unaware of it. The train of thought was stuck again, and the three were silent. Suddenly the air was quiet. Li Yechen looked down at the files. Chen Fuyin sighed. Yellow skirt girl playing with the waist of a feng shui plate. Thinking before sunset. Have to leave Beijing Zeifu. Into the palace to find Long Princess rub a meal. The cooks in the palace are the best in the world. Compared with them, the yellow dress girl named Kwei is more to serve as a guest state. Assist in handling cases. She has no official position. Although she is one of the case leaders, but does not need to shoulder much responsibility. Chen Fuyin's eyes flickering. Tentative. At present, the case is progressing slowly, and time is not lost. It is very anxious. Lord Li, why don't you ask the Duke of Wei? The middle-aged man slanted his eyes. Cao Tam, you have a Beijing official. We plain more people also have. To tell you the truth, this is what the Duke of Wei gave me. Chen Fuyin said with a wry smile. This case can't be solved, and I'm afraid I won't be able to keep my seat under my ass. The whole government and the people are watching us. The two men looked at each other in silence. The atmosphere was solemn. If it's a damn on, there's nothing I can do. Suki and turned white and felt the deep malice of God. There are monsters in this world. Demon tribes have existed since ancient times. They hunt and devour each other with human beings. 100,000 mountains in southern Xinjiang. There is a demon country. Is the largest population of the demon. 500 years ago, the western states, under the leadership of the Buddhist Gate, declared war on the demon kingdom in southern Xinjiang. They fought a war before and after, and finally defeated the demon kingdom. History books named this battle as Jia Zi swinging demon. Since then, the spirit of the demon tribe has suffered and gradually declined. Since then, Buddhism has soared and Buddhism has prospered. The battle for the top of the food chain was won by mankind. In the knowledge of later generations, if the tax silver is a demonic act, then he can only recover the silver to save himself and Su family as a refining peak of the unyielding silver. Su 7 and feel no way to overturn in the autumn season. The weather is wet and cold. Suki and Xin a cold sweat. He was afraid. Integrated with the memory of the original owner, I knew that it was impossible for me to escape from prison. Moreover, I knew that human rights were too weak in this society, where the imperial power was superior. Life and death, all in the mind of others, before also fantasized to wear back to ancient copy poetry dress. Force Feel very cool. Reality hard slap him if you cross. You will be beaten by society. No, this is just speculation. This is just the speculation of the government. I cannot be affected by their speculation. My own analysis can still rescue strong desire for survival, made him calm down quickly, and logic became rigorous and clear again. Why do monsters steal tax silver? Human flesh does not smell. Even if there is a shortage of silver, there is no need to stare at the tax silver. Listen to the book, said the demon tribe. Demon women all charming, exquisite body. I don't know if there are cats and dogs. Snap. Su-7 and gave himself a slap. Reasoning. The most important thing in reasoning is to do subtraction, to list the clues one by one, to sort out. Otherwise, it's a ball of wool, and it just gets messy. The two most obvious clues to the tax and silver case: 1. Demonic wind. 2. Tax silver fell after the river explosion. In addition to Wufu, each major cultivation system has the ability to blow the evil wind. Therefore, Clue 1 can only be used as evidence of the participation of practitioners. Cannot give more detailed goals. The suspicion of the second uncle, who was a military officer, was eased. Although he was not ruled out as an accomplice, the explosion of Clue 2 is an unreasonable doubt. The upper level of the monk's fight, causing the explosion, is normal, but in this case, there was no physical struggle, so the explosion doesn't make sense unless you have to explode. Suki and murmured, in any major training system, is there any profession that needs to explode to achieve this goal? Su-7 and thought for a moment, did not come to a clue, and then realized that he made the same mistake with the Beijing Trillion government. The government's thinking went wrong from the very beginning. It judged that the murderer was a monster based on the most obvious clues in the case, and then ran wildly on the road, never to return. That's not wrong. The problem is, it's too hasty despite the integration of memory. Suki and is still dominated by modern people's thinking, mainly the experience of previous lives. He prefers to extract the cocoon on the volume, to chew on those subtle details, and then make a conclusion. I can't think of this road for the moment. So let's change our thinking and break through from other places. I'm going to rule out a bogai, and assume it was a well-planned, man-made event. Then he must leave a hole in the case. Locker's law of exchange of materials tells us that no crime is committed without leaving a direct or indirect mark on the scene. They can be divided into two categories. I don't know exactly what they are. They should be footprints, fingerprints, traces of chariots and horses, and traces of tools and instruments. The flaw is not in the two most obvious clues, but in these various traces according to the file description. Suki, and in the mind of the second uncle escort, tax silver process, adrenaline is pumping, brain cells are firing. If pheromones could mimic, they would be like koi in a pond, frantically fighting for food and boiling over and over again. The various pieces of information and clues in the file converge, and his brain is like a high-speed CPU. As various pieces of information are pieced together, the case becomes clearer imperceptibly. Su-7 and felt himself into a state. His soul flutters up, breaking through the body, breaking through the building. Came to Kyoto sky. Time seems to go back. The east light. The sun is about to rise. Su Pingzi led a group of armored warriors, escorted the tax silver to the ministry. At this time, is the second carved. When they reached Guangnan Street, a demonic wind suddenly blew. The horses were frightened, and rushed into the river Boon. The river exploded, and the muddy water emptied. The explosion seemed to ring in Su Kuang's heart, and he kicked his legs like a reflex to wake up. His eyes were tired, but his face was exhilarated and ecstatic. I got it. Ha ha ha. I solved the puzzle. Suki and laughed wildly and beat the fence. People, quickly people. The jailer in charge of the guard was alarmed and, carrying a fire stick, shouted, "It is too noisy to live long." Hit the fence hard to frighten Suki, and Su Qian stepped back and let go of his hand on the fence. so as not to break his finger. I want to see your husband, he said. A prisoner came to the magistrate. I don't pee at myself. The jailer laughed angrily, put the fire stick through the fence, and stabbed Suki and retreated and fled again. How dare you hide? The jailer touched the key on his waist and grinned. I have broken your leg today. I have important information about the tax bank robbery. I want to see the governor. If the case is delayed, you will be responsible. Su Quan stared at him. The jailer's face froze in the inner hall. The girl continued to chew sugar cane after eating the meat package, and sometimes felt out a few candied fruit from the deerskin bag, and ate with it melancholy. While heartless, Your Majesty has ordered us to solve the case within 5 days. This is because it has taken so long that the tax money may never be recovered. Mr. Chen was pacing up and down the hall. He could not sit still, but time is so short that I can't wait. It takes time to solve a crime. Lord Ying clapped his hands and whispered, I will ask Wei Gong in person to give me the file. Li Yachen hesitated. I'll go with you. The girl in yellow dress glanced at him and said, That's all right. With this great national we serve, you two won't be held accountable by Your Majesty. However, losing points in the heart of Wei Gong is more serious than being blamed by Your Majesty. She laughed, showing two small bright white tiger teeth. The middle-aged man's face fell. A yeoman in soap clothes bowed his head, rushed in and said, Your Excellency, the jailer reports that Su Qian, Su Ping's nephew, has just said that he has an important clue about the tax and silver robbery, and wants to see Your Excellency. All three looked at one another. Qi and Hai, if I remember correctly, this was a marginal person who had nothing to do with the case, and after initial interrogation, torture was found to be irrelevant, etc. The Chen family thought for a moment and said, Bring him here. Shortly after, wearing prison clothes, with a line of dried blood on the body of Su Qi, and was brought up by the yeoman, walking, handcuffs and the fetters rattle. P.S. As an 18-year-old, the first book of a new, The Mood Uneasy. Not today. Just 3 chapters.